It's hard to find a good gluten-free dumpling out of home, so I started making my own, and these are so delicious they're going to win over any dumpling lover. Now the cabbage I love to use is wombok, also known as Chinese cabbage. It's got a light, delicate flavour. And what we've done here is we've cut up about 1.5 cups, finely chopped it, sprinkled it with some sea salt, and we've drained out the excess moisture. So we'll start by putting that in our mixing bowl. And then to this, I'm going to add 250 grams of fatty pork mince. Use a good full fat pork mince here. You don't want your filling to be dry, you want it to be nice and moist. Our Asian seasonings. So we've got some garlic. It's about 2 cloves there. And then a good hit of ginger. Now I like my dumpling fillings to have a good ginger hit, about 1 tablespoon, so be quite generous here. Okay, ginger's in. Now for our sauce, gluten-free tamari, also known as gluten-free soy sauce. This one doesn't have any wheat starch in it. It's about 2 teaspoons. Oyster sauce, again, make sure it's gluten-free, check the labelling. This adds beautiful sweet caramel notes to our filling. Sesame oil for some nutty notes. You don't need a lot here because sesame oil has quite a strong overt taste. Ground white pepper, this is my preferred pepper when I'm cooking an Asian dish. It has a sweet, delicate flavour. And a pinch of sea salt. Okay, I'm going to give this a quick mix before I finally slice my spring onion, add it to the mixture, and get onto our wrappers. A homemade dumpling wrapper can sound quite daunting for a home cook, but these are so easy. It's literally 3 ingredients. So we start with a really good all-purpose gluten-free flour. This one has all the gums already added to it, so you don't need to add any xanthan gum. All the work's been done for you, and it's going to become really nice, soft and pliable. And for our wet ingredients, I'm going to pour our olive oil into our hot water because my other hand needs to be free to bring together the dough. So we'll just slowly drizzle it into our bowl while I mix with my other hand. Initially it looks like rubble, but then it comes together beautifully. Now what I love about this flour is it's a great mix of corn flour, rice flour and tapioca, so it's a really beautiful blend. And it's also coeliac accredited, so I don't need to worry about any cross-contamination. Now if you follow an egg-free diet, we've used olive oil here, so you don't need to worry about any egg contamination in your dumpling wrapper either. So now that's come together, I'm going to get it onto my board and give it a gentle knead. I'm just using the base of my palm. I want to get a nice smooth ball of dough. Okay, our dough's come together nicely. We've got a nice, beautiful, smooth ball. It's kind of like Play-Doh texture. If you just press into it, it should be nice and soft. Now, let's get to wrapping our dumplings. Now, the key to a great dumpling wrapper is 2 sheets of baking paper. Because this dough is more fragile than regular dough, I'm going to cut it into 3 portions. 1 goes here, and another 2 portions will go here. And I'm going to cover them with a moist tea towel so that they don't dry out. We place another sheet of baking paper on top. The rolling pin, we roll it out nice and thin. Baking paper is your best friend when you're working with gluten-free dough. You want it nice and thin without breaking it. Now with this amount of dough, you'll get about 20 dumplings, depending on the size that you make them. Okay, our dough's nice and thin now. I'm using a 9-centimetre cutter because this is the size of dumpling I like, but you can use a smaller or larger one, either or is fine. Now, we've got a perfect round here. I'm going to take 1 teaspoon of our filling, place it in the centre. Okay, then I'm going to moisten the rim with some water because when that dough comes together, I want it to seal nice and tightly. I don't want any air escaping. Then using my fingers, I form a triangle shape by bringing in the edges just like this, pinching as I go. The beauty of this triangle shape is you've got a nice flat base, so more surface area so we get a nice crispy bottom before we steam them. Okay, there's our first one done. I'll keep going with these. Okay, our dumplings are ready. Now I love to pan fry mine with a little bit of olive oil in the pan first, just to get a nice crispy base. You don't have to do this, you can just steam these. Now, a pan-fried dumpling is also known as a pot sticker. If you've heard that term and wasn't sure what that was referring to, it's just the pan-fried base. So as I'm adding the dumplings to the pan, I'm giving them a little whirl because I want to ensure they're nicely coated in that oil. I'm going to pan fry these for a couple of minutes so they're nice and crispy, pour in some water, then pop on the lid to let them steam. Whilst our dumplings are steaming, let's get onto a really quick dipping sauce. We go in with our tamari, also known as gluten-free soy sauce. And to this, I'm going to add some balsamic vinegar. Now, the reason I'm adding balsamic vinegar is it's a great substitute for black rice vinegar, which often does contain wheat starch. Some mirin for sweetness, and some sesame oil for nutty notes. And a little pinch of toasted sesame, because I like a bit of texture in my sauce. And an optional finish here, some chili flakes. If you don't want any heat in your sauce, feel free to leave this out, but I just like a little touch of heat. I'm gonna give that a quick mix, and then just wait for our dumplings. Our dumplings are ready. Ooh, they look delicious. Just gonna transfer them to my serving plate. Now the beauty of these is you can pre-make a batch and just freeze them and cook them whenever you like. A little bit of spring onion for some extra colour and texture. And a little coriander, my favourite Asian herb. Oh, doesn't that look pretty? I'm gonna go for this one here. I just want to show you this base. Look how lovely, golden and crispy that is. We're gonna get all that crunch in that base. I just want to taste that moist filling. Into our dipping sauce we go. Look at that delicious moist filling. Pork mince, nice and fatty. You could use chicken or beef here if you prefer, totally fine. We've got all those beautiful signature Asian flavours in there with garlic, ginger, shallot. This is a sensational gluten-free dumpling. It's just a sensational dumpling, I'd say. That's a wrap.